There's two. All right, but I don't know. I don't know. The nice thing, I just have bird in it. Yeah, like here. Yes. So these are nice politicians.
And I
otherwise, we might like sometimes
he doesn't get a work coffee because he gets the
great. Well, yourself? Yeah. I'm busy doing stuff. Yeah, we're going to send this because I haven't heard about it, but I kind of go on with this question. That's as long as they get a big sponsor. He does have on there. He's got I didn't know where he lived. I know where Brenda lives because I dropped him off. Okay. You been in Florida?
I think I met her.
Yeah, she was on the graduation party. Yep. She was.
Yeah.
That's so funny. Yes, it sure is.
She's a cutie. Good to see you.
Good to see you. R1, R2, R3,
Are you Chandler? Yes. Here. Yes. It's nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. Thanks.
You ready, sir? Call the July 5th meeting of the APC Executive Committee to order. Mr. Burns, would you call the roll, please?
I will. Larry Leverance.
Here.
Jackson Bogan.
Here.
Gary Schroeder.
Here.
Jerry Reynolds. Here. Greg Jones. Greg Jones. Tom Murtaugh.
Present.
Kathy Parker.
Here.
Quorum present.
Thank you, sir.
Ready for minutes?
I'm ready for minutes.
I move to approve the minutes from the June 7th, 2023 public hearing as submitted.
I second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. New business. Let me read our rules here. For those of you unfamiliar with our procedures, the Commission would like you to know the following. When we hear a request to subdivide land, we're only concerned as to whether the actual drawing showing the division into lots meets the technical requirements of our ordinance. The question of appropriateness has already been determined. Anyone wishing to make comments or provide us with information regarding any subdivision petitions will be given the opportunity to do so. We're a 7-member body, and a majority of 7 is 4, regardless of how many commissioners are actually present. At least 4 votes in favor or 4 votes against are required for our action to be official. If fewer than 4 of us agree to either approve or disapprove an action, that case must be heard again next month. Our vote on a request to subdivide is final. When addressing the Commission, please state your name and address for the record. Please limit your statements to no more than 5 minutes, and we ask that you not repeat what others before you have already said. Cell phones must be turned off while the meeting is in session. If you need to make a call, please step out of the room before using your phone. All exhibits presented to the Commission become the property of the Commission.
I move that there be incorporated in the public hearing portion of each application be heard this evening and to become part of the evidence at such hearing, the Unified Zoning Ordinance, the Unified Subdivision Ordinance, the Comprehensive Plan, the bylaws of the Area Plan Commission, the application, and all documents filed therewith, the staff report and recommendations on the applications be heard this evening, and responses from checkpoint agencies.
I second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Subdivisions.
I move to hear and vote on S 5136, Food Finders Fresh Market minor sketch.
Second.
Okay, Food Finders Fresh Market is located here at the eastern end of Market Square Shopping Center. Property is zoned general business, as is all surrounding property. Here's a look at the aerial photograph and a closer look. There's not really a whole lot to this. It's an existing building. They just need to separate that one lot out. Here's a look at the sketch plan. There will be a cross-access easement for parking as well as access. Yeah, there's really not a whole lot to this. Any questions? It's we've got 4 conditions of approval, and we are recommending conditional primary approval.
Okay. Thank you, Kathy. Does the petitioner or their representative wish to make a presentation?
I'll offer to answer any questions. Kyle
Okay.
Betts, Chastain Associates, 625 South Earl. Kathy's covered everything I think that needed to be said, so if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions from the, or I'm sorry, anyone in the audience wishing to comment on the petition? Now, any questions from the commission members? Hearing none, you have a white ballot.
You want these, or you could read them? Either way.
Six ballots cast, all for conditional approval.
Thank you. Approval of the July APC public hearing agenda.
I move the following subdivision petitions be placed on the July 19th, 2023 Area Plan Commission public hearing agenda at petitioner's request, placement thereon being without reference to compliance or noncompliance with adopted subdivision ordinance. S 5137, Research Village Subdivision Section 1, formerly known as the plat at Jaeger Road, Major Preliminary. S 5138, Indiana American Water Tower, Minor Sketch. And S 5139, Barrington Woods, replat of lots 13 and 14, Minor Sketch.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carried.
I move that the following rezoning petitions be placed on the July 19, 2023 Area Plan Commission public hearing agenda. Z 2898 John Schrader, R1U and NBU to NBU. Z 2899 Aaron Walker, R1U to R2U, and Z 2901 M3J Properties LLC, R1 to GB.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried.
I move the following petitions be placed on the July 26th, 2023 Area Board of Zoning Appeals Public Hearing Agenda. BZA 2112, Charity Burkholder. Z, BZA 2113, Tim Downing, Downing Real Estate LLC, and BZA 2114, Trillium LLC.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carried.
I move regarding the following special exception request that these cases will not adversely affect the comprehensive plan. BZA 2112, Charity Burkholder, and Z 2113, Tim Downing, Downing Real Estate LLC.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carried.
I move the following requests for variance from a unified zoning ordinance are not requests for use variance prohibited from consideration by ordinance and statute. Case 2023-13, Ironmen Properties of Lafayette 1, LLC. Case 2023-14, Varick Holdings, LLC. And case 2023-15, Raising Cane's Restaurant, LLC.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried.
I move we approve the June 2023 budget report as submitted.
Second.
Any comments, Mr. Hiddle?
Thank you. The budget report is in the back of the packet. I have nothing additional to add. Would be happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We have no other business. Mr. Schroeder,
I move we adjourn.
meeting adjourned.
So if we're ready to go.
If we're ready to go, I will call to order the Area Plan Commission of Tippecanoe County Ordinance and Bylaw Committee meeting to order. First on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from the June 7th, 2023 meeting. I would entertain a motion to approve those from someone.
So moved.
Second.
So we have motion and a second to approve those minutes. Any comments or correction? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Proposed new residential townhouse zones. Dave.
Thank you. You have before you a 2.5-page proposed ordinance amendment, really addition, because these are two new, not yet existing zones that are proposed to be added to the zoning ordinance. Ryan O'Gara has been working on this for 2+ years, and he's brought it to this board, I think, a few times. This would be the last step before it goes to the APC and then ultimately to the councils, the commissioners and the councils. And I think this what you have here reflects suggested changes by various bodies who have looked at it. Our core engineering has sent it through its paces in terms of checking to see its actual viability, as has T-Bird. Bagel has looked it over and submitted some recommended changes which are incorporated. And what this does essentially is provide for a by right building program that would allow for something like this. This is the historical precedent, which is common in cities all over, and somewhat common in Lafayette, but it's not allowed by right by anything in the zoning ordinance right now. Right now, the zoning ordinance makes room for single-family dwellings and apartment buildings, apartment communities, and even high-rise and mid-rise apartment complexes. But there's not much missing. There's not much there in terms of this middle density paradigm, which is why this type of building is often referred to as the missing middle in cities across the country. The more modern analog would be something along these lines or these lines. This is a development in Saxony, in Fishers, Indiana, that would be allowed by this type of ordinance. And it would even allow for the lower level or lower slung single level housing that might be niched for, retirees, for empty nesters, that sort of thing. But what makes this different than a typical single-family development or district is that there would be common walls shared, and in fact, property lines would run right through common walls. So different from a horizontal property regime, which is a condominium regime, which has stacks of ownership, vertical stacks of ownership. The lines would run vertically through these buildings, so there would actually be, could be, doesn't have to be, but could be front and backyards associated with them. The idea is that there wouldn't be much of that. You're cutting down on that type of thing for economies of scale, to allow for a different housing type of unit that's not allowed by right now, but is perhaps desirable by many. So this was originally requested by Lafayette staff, and I think Ryan had actually been working on it even before I got here, around the time that it was brought up as something that was desirable to be done by right. Heretofore, you could only do this type of thing by a planned unit development, which is, I think, more work and more cost than is necessary to do something that most people want to see come up anyway in the city and in Greater Lafayette. So this proposed ordinance allows for that by right. It splits it into two different zones, an RT, residential townhouse, and RTU, residential townhouse urban zones, which are pretty similar except for that the urban variable allows for a little bit more compact development, whereas the RT would be considered more suitable for suburban areas. So, again, I think this has been put through its paces and is meeting with the approval of those bodies who have looked at it, and we're anxious to get this going and be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Very good. Any quick questions for David before we take input? Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead. Let's take it. Any downsides to this, David? I mean, it seems nice. Any downsides to doing this? Or is it a betterment to everyone overall, gives more options?
Yeah, I mean, nobody has to use it. It's, as Ryan always says, it's another tool in the toolbox. It's a new district. You know, it doesn't take away from the single-family dwelling districts. It doesn't change anything. You can still develop R1 and R2 and R3 multifamily, so it's just a new option.
Okay, thank you.
And David, in the permitted, or the primary permitted uses, the section 3-2-6 public utility uses, is that like schools? And I mean, what's listed in that? I did not.
No, it's a nod to regulated utilities who are not beholden to the zoning ordinance anyway. So
Okay.
it's the same language we have for all of our other residential districts.
Okay. Because our schools are generally permitted in any district, right?
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
okay.
Anything else? Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Any public comment on the townhouse proposal?
Hello, my name's Ryan Kennedy. I'm with Kennedy Homes and the Builders Association of Greater Lafayette, 612 North Ridge Drive, West Lafayette. With the way that this is written, we are in support of this. Hopefully, we can find a way to incorporate this throughout our developments, throughout Tippecanoe County, out in the county and closer to the urban cores. The only question that I have for David is, you mentioned that vertical separation there of property lines. Is there also something that where we could, like I saw the max building height was 45 feet, could we stack them vertically too? And so that maybe we could sell, like, I don't know, the ground floor unit to one homeowner and then maybe floors 2 and 3, to another?
That would be done under the horizontal property regime as a condominium. these are intended to have vertical property lines. They're essentially just like a single-family district, except that you can just do away with side setback requirements and share common walls.
Okay, so nothing stacked on top of
Correct.
one another. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Quick question for you, Ryan, before you run away. I see that building height of 45 feet, is that like 3-story?
That would be 3 stories with, 3 stories with, what, an 8-12 pitch, maybe? You could? Yeah.
Yeah, okay, very good, thank you.
I mean, if you took 8 feet per floor, that's 24 feet, then you'd have another 21 feet for a roof system, which, yeah. Yep, just like
Okay,
that.
perfect. Thank you. Very good. Any other comment?
Steve Schreckengast, Citation Homes, 635 South Earl Avenue. In reviewing this, it appears to me that this is primarily designed for townhouse-type units.
Thanks, Ryan.
With rear-load garages, and I'll try not to get yelled at this time. My question is, if I was envisioning doing a 55 older development, Jerry, I think you're very familiar with the Redwood development, the apartment homes on Twickenham Boulevard. So if I built duplexes with front-loaded 2-car garages with a 2-car parking space in front of the garage, either duplexes, triplexes, fourplexes, and wanted to do fee simple attached, loading on a public street, so the municipality takes care of the street, snow removal, trash pickup, would I be able to do that with this type of zoning?
Be a question for staff, but I think probably not. And I'm not sure what zoning Redwood, I think
Well,
they're doing
Redwood
PD.
is a PD zone, it's apartments, they're for rent.
Yeah.
But I lived in Skyline Ridge, which was in Sawmill Run, Hillcrest, or Hillside Villas. Those are duplexes with front-load garages. Both those are not public streets, but if you did one on a public street, so could conceivably like an R2 subdivision, but I want to sell these fee simple, owner-occupied fee simple. Would you still have to do that as a planned development?
You're talking about the location of the parking?
Well, I'm talking about a duplex with front-load garages that unload on a public street, yes.
Mm-hmm.
No need for a rear alley, rear-loaded garages. Most of the people I talk to, I think want a front door in the front and a backyard in the back. When you do the townhouse with the rear-load garages in the back, accessed by an alley, your density is going to be reduced, and you're going to have that common area expense of maintaining the alleys, snow removal, maintenance of the alleys. I'm just saying a real simple project. Another example is on top of Happy Hollow Hill. I think it's Tower of Ivory or whatever that's called. That originally was done as a rental property, then came back in and was converted into a PD so you could sell those duplexes one unit individually. I think you're probably familiar with that project.
That's what we
here.
did on 4th Street, too.
Well, first of all, this would be a great question to get, not at a hearing, but sometime in the 2 years that this has been in development. And no, the answer is no. Parking integrated into the residential units lot shall be located behind the primary use building, accessed from the rear yard via public alley or private driveway, and take the form of either an attached, detached, rear-loaded garage, rear-loaded carport, or rear-loaded surface space. So, no, not front-loaded.
All right. Well, and one comment, I haven't been looking at this for 2 years. I think this is relatively new in the last, I don't know, started and then stopped for a while. So just a thought, and so that would, the only way you could do that would be as a planned development.
Or a variance. These are development standards that can be subject to variance.
Okay. Right, thank you.
So like the unit we done on 4th Street, pardon me.
No, go ahead, Jerry.
The unit we done on 4th Street were originally were rentals, and now we converted those over, and they were all sold that were rear loads on a, like
you talked about, that would still be acceptable in those?
Are you familiar with those?
David might not be familiar with it, but I know you are, but we changed that over so you could own those. So
Yeah.
that would be permitted in those.
Are you talking
Right,
about the ones
and
across from
this-
Buckles?
Yeah, across from, yeah.
Yeah, that would fit into this.
Okay,
Perfect.
yeah, because the way, but there are
Okay.
2 stories and they're separate units. That's what I was wondering is that
Oh,
you
there's-
have an owner on the lower half and you have an owner on the upper.
But the whole thing is the whole thing is the single owner, right? The owner rents out the lower unit, correct?
No, I think you all, yeah.
I mean, they're not sold
they-
separately.
Yes, they are now. Yeah, they're all sold separately now. We
The
changed-
lower unit is a separate unit, or a separate owner from the upper
Yes,
unit?
Yeah. We changed that, because originally when it went in, I know when it came through the council, it was the same way, and then it came back. I understand.
There was 2
Then that
different
would-
projects. The one across from Buckles, I think, has 2 different owners, and the first one's down on Fifth Street. That was the same owner where they rented out the lower.
Yeah, the Fifth Street was.
Yeah,
But
that was different.
But the Fourth Street was, yeah.
Different.
Yeah. So that would not be permitted, or it would be permitted on Fourth Street?
The rear-loaded component, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I will note that as a zoning ordinance, as a district, this doesn't specify owner occupation or rental. It can't, so it could be either
Okay.
way.
All right.
Any other comments? Questions or comments from the board? Hearing none, I think if we like this, we'll take a motion to forward with this to the Plan Commission with our recommendation for approval.
Second.
So I have a motion and a second to move this plan forward as submitted with our recommendation for approval to the full commission. Any other questions or comments from the board? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries.
Thank you.
Are we down to citizens' comments or concerns? Hearing none, I'll take that final motion.
I move we adjourn.
We are adjourned.